Okay, the GoPro's running. Okay, so I'm hoping to take snippets off of this. Oh, and I gotta move my book up here because I can't read. I had to do an umbilical cord. Check this out. See, I got an umbilical down to here. Ah. Whoa! Almost went there. I got the umbilical because my battery went from 86% to 0% for some inexplicable reason in mere seconds. It caused the camera to shut down. The camera to shut down. Let's see, how's that? Have you guys got enough of a view? Okay, so now, is there any chance I can take this, my umbilical, and lay it right there? It's all precarious. It's, talk about unstable footing. But I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear, is the audio okay? Turn on the chat. Cop chat. Cop chat. Well, how about live chat? All messages. Oh, there you go. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Hopefully the background isn't so bad. Let's see if I can change. Don't take any chances just for the view, my friend. Okay, I won't. Yes, all good, good. Try to, audio's okay, good. How about back here? Can you hear me back here? Is this good too? Give me a thumbs up, whatever that. Oh, I guess you can do the emoticon. Huh. Sorry, it's, oh good to hear. Okay, so, let's get started. It is, the Tweety Bird. Okay, it is, I think it's just past 6:30, so we're just on time. Welcome to Shaw's Cove. This is my home away from home here in Southern Orange County. I come down here a lot. This is the beach that I come to. And I really do love this place, and it's one of the things that would be the hardest to leave if and when my family ever choose to leave Orange County. But so I promised, this is a change from the venue. We've been doing this at the Marriott Hotel in Irvine, across the street from where I live, and I thought on a whim during last month's book reading that, hey, why not do this down at the beach, you know? And that's where I got the idea to get this monkey grabber thing that I could grab onto anything down in the rocks. I was going to do it around the corner, out in the rocks, real close to the water, but I realized that with if the tide's this high and it's still an hour away from high tide, I'd be stranded and stuck in the rocks. So I decided to just do this on this little staircase here, which is to one of these wealthy estates up here. So hopefully, Thurston and Mrs. Howell won't come walking down and, Lovey, there's a surly young man, there's a surly middle-aged project manager standing at our stairs making videos. Tell the help to shuffle him away. I'm sure that if that happens, then we'll just shuffle down there. Okay. Does anybody even remember Thurston Howell III? Give me a thumbs up for Thurston Howell. Good old Lovey and Thurston. Okay, here to read Going Alone. Today we're going to read the Stoic Life. So I'm not reading the book sequentially. I'm not reading from start to finish. I'm doing by chapter. Oh, I got a Jonathan knows Thurston. Good. All right. Thanks, Jonathan. I'm reading it by chapter. So I'll read a chapter a little bit, and what I'm doing is, as I go through, I'm then hyperlinking sections of this into the book, in the online book. So if you read a section in the book, you can click on it, and it'll pop up to just a little video snippet of me talking about that very section. I thought that would be a neat. I mean, if you want annotations, but better than just click on it and hear the author talk or babble about whatever they thought. So here we go. So I'm going to now skip ahead to the Stoic Life. And by the way, the book has changed quite a bit in the last few months. I've added 2.5 new chapters. One of them is a half chapter because it's pretty small. And I've added these things that I'm calling, well, initially it was called a warning poem. And it was at a suggestion of a friend who suggested that there might be danger in the book. Danger to someone that might be on the edge, or danger more explicitly to anyone that might actually decide to go out and try to do the things that I've done and go out into a place like this, like that, into the desert like that and die. And I mean, I know that firsthand. I mean, a friend of mine that has been following my adventures for years recently tried something and ended up getting airlifted by helicopter out of the wilderness. And I'm not saying that I was responsible for that, but you know, I don't want to be the one to send someone to their death. So, or they're what would I say it? They're not ethical, but I don't want to lead them to psychological, no, that's not even the right word for it. Ethical destitution? Denialism. That's right, that's probably the word. I don't want to be the person to lead you to denialism, you know, which is the, you know, the basically, say simply is, you know, the proclamation that the universe has no meaning, which I believe is the case. That, to me, that recognition that the universe has no apparent meaning, gotta add that word apparent meaning in there, has been a boon to me because it's caused me to go out and make my own life full of meaning. But to some others who, if they reach that same conclusion, they may despair and decide, well, then what the heck's worth staying? And throw themselves off this 8-foot cliff. So I don't want to lead people to either of those. So I added the warning poem to the beginning of the section called My Muse is a Corpse. That's when it really starts to get into the meat of the thing. And then I began to add a couple of those warning, like poem-like things at a couple of junctures throughout the book. So now the book has like 7 chapters, and then like 3 sections within the chapters. You know, the introduction section, and I moved things around. I moved the anxiety hike section right up to the front, just after My Muse is a Corpse introduction. My Muse is a Corpse, the anxiety hike. And then, because that kind of sets the stage. That's all prose, right, for the most part, with the exception of the weird stuff in the My Muse is a Corpse. It's all pretty much prose. Then, at that point, you see my worldview. You've been into the wilderness with me by virtue of the anxiety hike chapter. Now, after the anxiety hike, we jump right into, I believe after that comes, hold on, this is the latest copy, The Path of Wildness, which is, the part that I wrote in Japan, which is about, getting unstuck in life. Then Going Alone, which is the real meat of the thing. It's the title chapter for the book. Then The Stoic Life, what we'll read today. Then The Good Life. And I should have mixed, I realize now didn't mix that around. I mixed it around in the chapter titles, but I forgot to change The Good Life and The Stoic Life chapters, in fact. So I need to adjust that around. And then last part is my theology. My God is a little God, if you want to call it a theology. And then some final thoughts and epilogue. So the book has and not 7, it's 11 chapters, 11 sections, and about 3 or 4 sections. So today we're going to talk about the Stoic life. So I have to zip all the way through. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so this is my book, Going Alone, A Life of Courage, Joy, and Independence Independence by me. This is the chapter, The Stoic Life. Don't knock anything off, don't fall off. Now, I wrote this chapter, I compiled this chapter because as I was writing the book, I was realizing that some of the pieces of the book had a very Stoic feel to them. Now Stoicism, of course, is the philosophy that came out of the ancient world of basically recognizing our limits, and recognizing what is and what is not within the scope of our control, and then reconciling ourselves to that fact, adjusting ourselves accordingly so that we can take action with the things that are within our control, and then just learn to live with the things that are not. It's all kind of really well summed up in that old adage, give me the strength to recognize what I can control, to have the strength to do something about what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, whatever that is. That really is, in a nutshell, the Stoic philosophy. And I'm no Stoic expert, but I am a big fan of some of the great Stoic writers, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and others, and their influence, which trickled down through the ages through a lot of different writers, now including myself, if I deign to call myself a writer. And I noticed that as I was writing the book, that there were certain bits and pieces that were really Stoic, and I decided to pull those aside, put them into a separate chapter, as basically my tipping my hat to the Stoics, to the tradition that they've created and the influence that it's had on me. You'll find that this section is really heavy-duty laden with stuff about temperance, and apathy. Those are two of the big Stoic ideas. Temperance and apathy are the two that have struck me the most in life, and I'll define those as I go into it. But you'll see there's a lot of that, especially up front. I also throw in a couple things about the great life adventure and the like. Someone saying good morning. Hi Tim, good morning. So let's get into it, shall we? So as always, it begins with a little preface, and then we get into the meat of it. Remember, there's two sections of my books, of most of the chapters. There's the prose, and then there's the, and which prose is just standard old writing. And, and then when I get into the section called Notes from My Muse, that's the stuff that I wrote under inspiration. If I was a spiritual man, I would say, when God was speaking to me, but I don't believe any of that. So it's just simply when the biochemistry, the circumstances of the time that happen to have a free moment, and the muse strikes, and the words just flow. They just come out like nobody's business. And that's the stuff in italics that follows and makes up the meat of most of the book. And it's separated by these little tilde characters, each one of them. And I wanted to do this in this way so that you could open the book anywhere you want and just read anything. You just read, if you got a second to read something, read a little bit. Because that's how I read my favorite authors: Thoreau, Emerson, Hawthorne, Steinbeck, Melville, Aurelius, Epictetus, all of these authors. I keep their books by my bedside, and every night when I go to bed, I pick one up and just open it randomly and just read a little bit. And I wanted to make my book an homage to that, so that's what I did. Okay, here we go. The Stoic Life. Recognizing the scope of our control. And then a quote. Hi, you're from Spain. Hi, Ramon. Welcome from Spain. Buenos dias. Good morning. It takes a tranquil and untroubled mind to roam freely across all parts of life. That's a quote from Seneca, in a real simple nutshell. And that's part of the aim of all of this whole book, is to help us. The guys are out there boogie boarding. I don't know if you guys can see them. I'll turn it later. That's part of the goal of all this, is to get to the point of having a tranquil and untroubled mind that can really do that. And part of the reason why I'm trying to promote this stuff is that it really does work. And it took me a long time. I'm almost 55, but it really can happen. And you don't need any woo. You don't need any mysticism or supernatural mumbo jumbo to duck away or to shirk the hard work sometimes that's needed to do this. It's a lot of work, but it's a worthwhile endeavor. It's a shame that you still have to die just about the time you get it done. So that's why you make a little effort to pass along, maybe make it little easier for someone else. Okay, there we go. Now it's my part. I owe much to ancient Greek and Stoic and Roman. I owe much to ancient Greek and Roman Stoic thinkers and the influence they've had in Western culture and society. I suspect my hero, Henry David Thoreau, was influenced directly or indirectly by Stoic writing, as he often refers to values proposed and supported by Stoic writers, such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. So, my first introduction to all of this... Oh, hi, Colton. My first introduction to all of this was through Henry David Thoreau, who only once in Walden does he actually explicitly recommend or mention the Stoics. But I think that he was heavily influenced by the Stoic thinkers, because transcendentalism is kind of a distilled view of it. I mean, it's almost like a branching of it. It adds a bit of a spirituality. There is kind of a sense that there is God and a universal being and a universal good and all that kind of stuff. But definitely distilled down to that Spartan Stoic. You imagine the Stoics, the stern. Nothing phases me. That kind of stuff. There's a little bit of that. I'm going to share with you real quick one of my favorite Stoic stories, illustration of the Stoic mentality. It's the story of a Stoic who was in prison down below in the king's dungeon. I don't know if this is a true story or just a teaching story. And he was down there playing checkers or something with this is like a Roman story. Down there playing checkers with, it is a nice view. Hi, Colton. Playing checkers with the guard, and down comes another guard to say the king has said it's time for you to be executed. And the guy gets up And as he's walking away from the table, he turns to everybody that was in there and he says, "Hey, everybody, you guys all saw, I was winning. I was winning." And then he goes away and gets his head cut off. So of course, the point there is that he was this man that was going to get his head cut off was so resigned to what was in and what was not within his control as to recognize it was not within his control whether he was going to be executed at that moment. So he did not trouble himself with too much, and instead focused on the things that were within his control, which is the fact of the game, and letting everybody know that even though he's going off to get his head cut off, he was in fact, ahead. I just love that. So anyway, I'm mentioning that Thoreau here probably had Stoic influence. If I could have my youth to do over again, I would include in my late teens the writings of these thinkers, which I did not otherwise discover until midlife. Yeah, I didn't find the Stoics. I didn't find the Stoics until, gosh, it was in my 30s, late 30s, or little 40s. So influenced, I suspect I could have avoided much of the struggle and hardship of life reconciliation during the decades of my 20s, 30s, and 40s, which otherwise required many hard knocks to liberate some sense into my living. Yeah, if I had been armed with Stoic principles in my 20s, I think I could have gotten to where I am now by my 30s. Wishful thinking, huh? And I have so much yet to do. This section of my book is dedicated to words which I knowingly wrote with the Stoics in mind. This section is my homage to the Stoic perspective and way of life, which has done much to refine my sensibilities, and without which I could not have composed my good life plan of living at this late stage of my life, or perhaps ever. So the good life is the very end of the book, where I lay out my 6 objectives and 20 principles, which are, when you realize, facing down this and realizing, recognizing a universe without meaning, or without meaning. Well, I just said without meaning here. I did that for literary right? When you recognize that, and you're left with, well, what the hell? What am I going to do now, right? The universe has got no apparent meaning. If there's no God, there's no moral absolutes. It's just whatever the heck, and good and evil are opinions. And what do you do with that? Well, what I chose to do, instead of jumping off a cliff, I chose to sit down and catalog what I was going to create value. Now, I know that sounds blasphemous to some who believe it has to come on high, but if they don't believe there's any high given any values, I needed to come up with it myself. And I decided my measure was, to borrow from Sam Harris, human well-being, or well-being in general. So I developed my 6 and 20. And that's in the chapter called The Good Life, which is now at the very end of the book. So that's the end of the prose portion right here. Now I'm going to get into the notes from my muse. This is the mystical stuff that came to me. This is the stuff that comes to me when I'm riding my motorcycle along and going to work, and it's like, oh, there's an idea. And I have to pull to the side of the road, put on the emergency flashers, and get out and write it all down or type it in my thing. That's what it does. Or when I'm out hiking in the desert. So here we go. Let me get on my mystical hat. Notes from my muse. I told a man my mind, and he asked, "What efforts have you made to destroy this idea? And how may I help to bring it down?" What a worthy friend, so caring of my best interest. Let us war together upon my claims of truth. This is, to me, what I know. I don't have a lot of friends anymore. I don't know. There's just enough time in the day after all this stuff to be with my family. But if I had a close friend, I would want a friend who would listen to my ideas and say, "Kurt, let's work together to bring this thing down. Let's destroy this idea." And that's a true friend in my mind, is one who wouldn't support me just for the sake of making me feel good, but would want me to believe in true things, not just things that are comforting. And I would turn to that friend and I would say, "Yes, friend, let's war together upon this, my claim to truth." And I would want to do the same to him or her. Now there's a tilde, and then there's a new bit. Create a garden within your mind, a place hemmed in by reason, where you can nurture virtue in true soil, a quiet and simple sanctuary, ever present, always home. So I imagine in my mind there's a place where it's the arena of reason, where any whim or inspiration or idea that I have that I want to perhaps hold a little closer to my breast, I want to put it in there first and have it war with my champion. My champion is reason. And reason has the two sub-principles of honesty and objectivity. So I want to honestly and objectively look at what I think is true, apply reasonable criticism and doubt, and then if it can survive the battle within my sanctuary, then it gets to become a part of my thinking. Garden in the mind, yeah. I'm just responding to Colton here. It wasn't my idea. I read across it somewhere. The Garden in the Mind. It might even be a book somewhere. Here we go. Next one. Sorry, the waves are loud. Is it too dark? Can you guys see me okay? Hi. Oh, hey, ooh, that's better. Ooh. Okay. Virtue is independent of possessions, though what we have or want may distract us from virtue. And so what I'm saying there is that what you've got is not your measure of your virtue, but what you want and what you have may be a distraction from that, right? If you're wanting a Porsche or a big house or whatever the heck may be, then you may find yourself willing to compromise some of your virtue in order to achieve that end. Likewise, if you have those things, what are you willing to do to possess those things? What compromises are you willing to make? Thoreau talks about that in Walden when he talks about his neighbors walking through the course of life, carrying upon their backs, 5 acres of tillage, their lawn, their mowing, their pasture, their house, and all their farm animals. And what crushing weight does that instill upon their better selves? Next one. What is it you can truly touch? Even your raised voice will only carry so far. Distinguish these things. Measure your reach. Attend to practical ends. So pointing out again, what is within our control? What can we actually touch? What is that I possibly could not do? At 54 years of age, I'm never going to be in the Olympics. But at almost 55. At 55 years of age, I could indeed do some things like write a couple more books. So maybe that's a worthwhile endeavor. But trying to go to the Olympics at this point is not. So again, measure your reach. Attend to practical ends. What small routines, mindful actions, and discerning ways reveal the wilderness passage? So to me, the wilderness passage is the passage to truth. To truth. No, I didn't say that right. That just came out of my head like some rote memorization. The wilderness passage is the path of courage, the path of exploring where we're afraid. And that's where we're more likely to uncover the unknown and to discover that what we thought was true was not really true. So, or maybe it was true. So what small routines and mindful actions and discerning ways reveal that passage? Well, thank you, Colton. I appreciate that. A valley of shadows, yes. Next one. Shout your musings down the corridors of time. They echo and return, lost at last. Hey! Be safe, but not too safe. Now, what I'm saying there simply is that these things will rust and corrode away to dust. Even the best ideas, even the best possessions, our self, our bones, whatever, will become dust. Even immortal truths, the truths of Socrates, of Plato, of Seneca, eventually will most likely be lost for good. I mean, at least if we're measured insofar as the influential heat depth of the universe, it'll just be just dispersed atoms at that point. So don't take it too seriously. Oh, I got a big one. Virtue rests in tempered self-reflection. Not much, just enough to gather the facts. Just enough to gain accurate perspective for the application of reason. Let it go then. And think not of events other than your rational conclusions and the resolutions they entail, and never gawk or dwell upon the circumstances of others, which is an intemperate indulgence and a distraction from your own true labor. Attend the mending of your own folly, which you alone can repair, and burden not your neighbor with any prying misattentions. I'm simply saying there that your best endeavors are in your own self-destruction. To attend to, and I mean that when I say destruction. I strive to have less every day. I strive to believe fewer things. I would love to die utterly unknowing and gawking at the universe as as ignorant and innocent as as the day I was born. What a worthy thing, because indeed there is so little that I actually do truly know. Of course, that's an absolute. That's hyperbole. I mean, on the extreme. But what I'm trying to say here is to focus my attention more on, addressing my own ignorance, and recognizing my own ignorance, than pointing out the ignorance of others. Your idea there, that kind of sucks. Well, how much more worthy to say, man, today I discovered again I was wrong. Whew, man. But I got a few things left that I think are right. A juxtaposition, indeed, Tim. Okay, I got another big one right there. It's kind of slipping. My feet are slipping. But it looks like it's holding up pretty good. Okay. The routines and vain actions of life are but a bluff and distraction from living. Bright and shiny, new and interesting. Our lives given over to awe and wonder. Our better purpose is ignored. The considered life. I mean, that's all the bright, tiny distractions of life, or they keep us focused on these little things, of purchasing and refining and building and decorating and the like, when really our best time is spent in consideration, if you're so inclined. Some people aren't. The principled life, so the considered life, the principled life, a life of discipline and temperance, a life spent enacting and enforcing the laws we must ourselves discover and ratify. Police, barrister, judge, and perhaps executioner, engaged in the messy business of applying reason to our base animal thoughts in the hope of forming something true from instinct, emotion, and gasping higher thought, gasping like a man drowning in the sea of evolved conclusions. And when that higher mind sputters some words of good sense above the waves, how then to remember and live in accord with what we found, when all the sea rages and none may hear our voice over the froth and din? Still we go on, swimming towards something better, straining muscle with willful, disciplined strokes, until we at last drown and sink again below the mad waves, attaining nothing more than the best life we knew how. That's the thing we seemingly seek to avoid. Wow, the considered life. What did I say there? I'm looking at what did I say? But that's all I got, right? It's like Thoreau said, why would I speak so much of anybody else? I mean myself. That's all I'm all the one I know. The considered life, the principled life, a life of discipline and temperance, a life spent enacting and enforcing the laws we must ourselves discover and ratify. That's the life I'm suggesting. To swim out there alone, to dive beneath the waves. There's a reef right over there. You can barely see it. To dive beneath the waves, to explore what's down there, to come up and sputter. I found something. Blah, 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 blah. And to have the courage to go out there and see what it really is. And then to dive back down again and come up again and spout out something else. This thing that I'm doing right now, this video that I'm doing right now, this book that I wrote, is that sputtering. And it may be nonsense babble to anybody else. They might look out and say, what's that guy doing? He's out there coming up and send the lifeguard up there. Excuse me. All right, so we're 32 minutes in. Okay, next one. I think I missed a couple of comments. Hop chat. You should make that a poem, a juxtaposition. Don't compare yourself. Valley of Shadow. Yes, I like that. And Kyo wa otsuri desu ka? Are you asking, is it hot or cold? It's chilly. Not too bad. I'm almost ready to take this jacket off. Next. Let every act of virtue be self-contained, at once thought, action, and reward, seeking nothing more and asking no notice or remembrance. So let your acts of virtue be their own reward, right? It's a pedestrian, pretty simple sentiment. Next one. Do I die now in equanimity? Then I've indeed reached a good end. That's how I hope to die. I hope to die at peace. This balanced and tuned apparatus, so frail and fleeting, upon which my everything is carried, through places and years, always now, so near, nevermore. That's this balanced and tuned apparatus, 55 years old, the tuning and the balance is starting to go down. That's all I got. That's what I carry me through now, and so near, nevermore. So that's my sentiment that death is absolute and perpetual and forever, and there's no coming back. And next, be responsible for what is within your control. Let others own their own thoughts and flesh. Again, the Stoic sentiment of I control this body of mine and what I eat, what I exercise and the like. I don't have too much control over what others do. I shouldn't worry too much about that. I should maybe be a good example if I can. Next, my first thought at every challenge, what opportunity this moment virtue? What can I do in this particular moment that is a virtuous thing? How can I further the cause and aim of well-being? Next, just 5 words. Humbly acquiesce to sound principle. That's something I strive for in my life, is if someone gives me a sound argument, a good argument, even if it's something I don't like, I will acquiesce. I do not want to rest on pride of my own position. Next. How might I bear well this worthy burden, carry this necessary weight, tolerate painful right action, rather than flee to easy salvation? That is my call to atheism, right? You know, it's easy to just wrap it all up, put a bow on everything and say, God's got it all under control, salvation's at hand. I might suffer a little bit in this life, but in the end, it's all going to work out because someone else is at the steering wheel. So instead, I say, I would rather take that responsibility upon myself and bear that worthy burden and carry that weight and tolerate painful right action and not flee to easy salvation. It's a lonely, challenging, willful life, but quite worthwhile. Next. When challenge arrives and panic rises in the heart, still then the mind, still more the tongue. When things get really hard, I try to ask myself, quiet my mind a little bit, getting through this thing, quiet my tongue. You know, that's in the moment of action, right? When I need the action, and then I'm going to rest on my best principles. I may make some mistakes, but that's maybe not the time to overthink things, but to focus on taking everything that I've got so far that I've worked on and trying to make it a tool for the moment of now. Someone just said something? I'm missing a lot of comments, sorry. Hit that live chat. No, top chat. It's simply, okay, let's see. Swimming creativity, cold, oh yeah, it's not too cold, the water's a little cold. Way cold. Swim in creativity and discovery. I have to go. I really enjoyed the words today. Thank you, Colton. Take care. It's good to see you. Have a great day. As a pastor, that is not my view. Yeah, I wouldn't think so as a pastor, but simply you said it right on. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm happy to have you here, Tim. I'm always interested. I would love to hear. I do another stream of stuff over on my Facebook page, Freeway Bible Study. So if you want to come over there, I'd love to chat with you about religious stuff. I study the Bible every day at 4 a.m. I study for about an hour. It's a very interesting topic. I'm assuming you're a Christian pastor. Anyway, back on topic. These few square meters of flesh are far more than I can maintain or cultivate. Ruin progresses despite plan and action. My only real estate is my will. A moment-by-moment application of hard-earned best practice, applied to the ends revealed of reason. So again, back to that thing of cultivating this square meters of flesh that I've got. You know, my reason is the instrument of management. That's basically all I've got that I can truly, indeed, control. Next. I'd rather take less or give up my portion than suffer the loss of nourishing restraint. That's kind of a tricky one. What I simply mean there is that if it costs me my self-restraint in order to have nourishment, in order to have comfort, then I would rather give it up. I'd rather give up a dear friend who demands that I acquiesce to unsound principle than hold on to that comforting friend for the purpose of the comfort alone, right? I'd rather go alone. Fancy that. But if my friend has sound, reasonable reasons or a good argument for why they're positioned, then you bet I'll change my mind in a heartbeat. That's what I like to think. Next, I think I'm getting near the end here. Yeah, I'm almost there. Okay, my response is all I really own. The rest are like leaves blown in an autumn wind. That's right. All I really possess is how I respond to the world around me. That's my temperance, right? Next, it's easy to become a monster. Simply follow when you know you should leave. Your spirit will die, and something rotten, something hollow and rotten will fill the empty space. I do what I'm talking about is not that following alone is a rotten thing to do. I think following when you know you should be leading. Following when the leader is not on the right course, but propriety or the group or consensus dictate that we should follow them, and you do that anyway, then we can become a monster. I think we've all seen that before. Next, man and womanhood are sufficient ends to a stout and earnest mind, dismissive of distraction, heedless of precedent, careless of legacy, fearless of death, consumed of resolve to speak one truth to fill the empty space. So being a grown man or woman are sufficient to live well, assuming that we fill those roles in the definition of being as an independent of basically going alone, of being willing to go alone in the direction of virtue. We get all that and a bag of chips. Next, peace is easy when expectation is reduced to the level of reality. So when we expect no more than what is real, then we can easily find peace. Remember The Little Prince? Read that story. That's a perfect example. Just a few more. To give more and want less. Next. Let not a single thought escape my mind which has not suffered the scrutiny of reason. No, I certainly don't want any thoughts to just be spew out of my mind because it's comforting. And if I do, I hope my friends, the few that I have, will catch them and help me to bring them in, corral them in, and give them a good look-see back in that little forum in the mind. Next. Two more. The sober subject of our lives decline. Yeah, that's right, plural. The sober subject of our lives' decline arrives so often late to the feast and long before the diner has enjoyed their fill. Oh, that's just a warning that, this stuff, these thoughts, this effort, this ambition to live the principled life sometimes seems to arrive so late in the game, and we just get started decades or just a few years before we die. And we're left with, who was the celebrity that died not too long ago that simply his last words were so much wasted time before we can live the considered life. And last one. Would you detain or lament death's rightful trespass? Death with an uppercase D. One sorry. Would you detain or lament death's rightful trespass? Throw up protest and complain perceived misfortune. Cry like a child, denied sovereignty over all they see and know. To what end? That your gravity and equanimity might go first before the gallows? That's hearkening right back to that story I told at the beginning about the man that was going to his death, and with character, goodwill, and good spirits basically commented on, I was winning, rather than protesting before the inevitable, why? When it's your time. That's what I'm trying to basically say, die a good death. And with that, that's finished. I finished the chapter. That's the first time I finished the whole darn chapter in one reading. So let me show you guys a little of the beach, and then we'll sign off. I think there might be some comments there. The boys are having a fun time. Let me bring this off. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take this off of here. Here we go. Okay, I'll switch the camera around. So there's Shaw's Cove. You can see the water's coming up higher. I would not have been able to get around that corner earlier. And if we pan over here, you see the gaggle of boys over there? They're waiting. There's a little point right there, and they're waiting. There's 3 of them, and they're waiting for some set waves, having a great time. That's the type of moment. And here's the ocean swimmers. These guys come out here every morning. Remember, it's February 19th, and these guys swim every morning. It's a club, and they come out here about 7:30 in the morning. They're down to just 3. Usually there's about a dozen of them, men and women both, and they go out and they'll swim out. They'll swim way the heck out there. I do it too. I come out here and I swim back at laps back and forth. Let's watch them go. Oops, I'm not pointing. There we go. Come on, guys. Yeah, that first jump. These are gentlemen are going. Look at that. Look at those bodies. Those are guys that are not taking this wonderful thing of having a body for a brief amount of time for granted and they're not making good use of it. Here they go. It's cold. And there are sharks out there, by the way. Big sharks. There's one called Fluffy, a great white that courses around out there. The surfers have named it. They're not too worried. Other guys, the boys have caught a wave. One of them has. Here they go, there they go. Yeah, no, there are indeed big sharks out there. Hammerheads, great whites. Here comes another guy. I think I saw some comments. And then those guys are way out there. Nope. Nope, you're saying nope, Aaron? I'd get out there and join them. Well, I like to think I would. I do it. I mean, I was swimming last year this time of the year. And there those guys are. They're way out there already. They go way out. I mean, they go way the heck out there. And they'll swim like a half mile down the coast and back. And then the beach, the water's coming right up there. And here are the steps, Thurston Howell III house is up there. You can see their overlooking point. And I've got my gear right here. And the stairs go down and I can go around. Well, that's probably enough. Oh, there goes this guy. Now they're all in. Well, anyway, did I miss any comments? Let's see. Let me see. Live chat. Let's see. Oh, you guys don't need to see me. Let's see. Love. Oh, let's see. Catalina, right on. There's all kinds of stuff. I was walking in the same desert. What? Okay, hold on. A little suffering, salvation. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Have a great day. As a pastor, there's the pastor. Yes, indeed. A little suffering, salvation, instant forgiveness, and go hurt people. What? A little suffering, salvation, instant forgiveness, and go hurt people. Interesting. I'm not sure I quite understand. Great live stream, brother. Peace and love. Thank you. People make the Christian religion into a fantasy, self-serves. Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, at least because I got all the people that are helping me, all my Christian friends, and they're all telling me different things. I think they need to clear it up amongst themselves before they start proselytizing to the rest of us. So right on, Kurt. I really enjoy your genuine intimacy and communication. Thank you, Tim. I enjoy walking in the same desert I grew up in. Wonderful. I have a shovel. I have to go shovel a little snow. Tim in Aurora, Colorado. See ya. Thank you, Tim. Take care. I will wait. Right on. We lived in San Clemente. You did? That's San Clemente right over there. Tim, that's San Clemente, as you know, that's actually Dana Point. And then Dana Point's there, and then San Clemente would be right around the corner. And Catalina's right over there. In fact, you might be able to see it. No, we won't be able to see it. It's right around the corner. Zane Grey wrote his westerns there? I didn't. Lost your audio. I was just thinking that. Yeah, what's this about the shark I've read? Still visual, but have great holiday, President's Day? No. Okay, well, I'm sorry if I've lost the audio, guys. All right. Take care, everybody. I think that's enough for today. Thanks for joining me. Oh, make it a wonderful life. Make it a good life. See you next month. Take care.